Good evening, everybody.
Kavod Harav, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Okay, we're going to next chapter 123.
Kavod Harav, we're done with the loss of Amidah.
Let's see where we are. Let's see where we land up here.
Thank you.
I think we still have a long way to go.
For Amidah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
There's still a lot more. So it says in the Torah, Korea Posea Gimel Pesiot, that now what he does is once he finishes, he bows and then steps back, right? Le'acharab, 3 steps back. Uvechri'a echad, right? In one bow. Uvodo Korea Kodem Sheiskof, and while he's still right bowing, before he erects the body, Yateh berosho letzad smalo. He should lean with his head to his left, right, one to the left. Kemi sheba lipater mirabo, like somebody who's coming to leave his master. Ve'achakach limino, and then to the right. Right. First we go to the left, then we go to the right. The Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, because this rabbi said, "Amitpalel tzarich sheyifsa gimel pesiot lachorad." Person who prays has to go 3 steps back. Ve'achakach iten shalom. Then he gives shalom. Lo asa ken. If he didn't do so, kelu lo yitpalel. It's as if like he didn't pray. Okay. ויש נוהגים לומר shalom בשמאלי ושלום בימיני. So he says what they do is they do one shalom with the left side, one shalom with the right side. עושה shalom במרומיו, that he makes peace in the heavens, whatever. Okay. Let's see what the Bet Yosef says about this.
Rabbi, the shiur is not on Facebook. Not shared.
Oh, I wonder why that is. Maybe I didn't press the button. Let me check that. Oh boy. Let me see what's going on with that. Yeah, I think I didn't press the button. Okay, now I did. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, thank you. So, getting back to our lesson. So, right, just to recap what we just said, what we said was that he steps back, right, going to the left side, going to the right side, like we do. After he finishes the Amidah, right, that's the way it's done. This is what we saw in the tour. So now let's check the Beit Yosef. So regarding that, it says in the Beit Yosef, one second, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it says in the Beit Yosef regarding that, brings the source, right, for this. What is it? It's over there alone. Where is this in Yoma? Nun Gimel Amud Bet. Ketavu Arif ve'arosh, and the Rif and the Rosh wrote this down. Besof Perek En Omdin, over there in the Brachot. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, it says there, Hamitpalel tzarich sheifsa shalosh pesiyot lachorav. A person who prays has to step back 3 steps. Achar kach yiten shalom, then it gives shalom. Tanya Nami Hachi, it also says in the Braita, Hamitpalel tzarich sheifsa shalosh pesiyot. A person who prays has to step back 3 steps, lachorav. ואחר כך ייתן שלום, and then give shalom. ואם לא עשה כן, if he didn't do so, ראוי לו שלא יתפלל. It's proper they shouldn't have prayed. ומשום רב שמעיה, אמרו, name this rabbi, they said, שנותן שלום לימין, he gives one to the right, ואחר כך לשמאל, and then to the left. שנאמר מימינו אש דת למו, right? It brings it from the verse, that the right comes first. רב אחז יהיה לעבד יהיב שלמה למינה ברשע. But Rava saw Abaye that he was doing first to the right side, like we just said. Amar tells him, Mi sabat min didach lismol didach kamina. So he said, what do you think? I'm talking about your right? I'm talking about your left, right? So what does that mean? It depends on who you're talking about, right? We're talking to the right of to the Shekhinah, which is your left. Having Yemino Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the right side of Hashem. Amar Rabbi Chia Rabuna, this rabbi says, Chazina lehu le'Abaye v'Rava. Says, I saw Abaye and Rava. The pas lehu. They step back, right? Shalosh pesiyot. They step back 3 steps. B'kriya echad. They did it in one bow, right? So they bowed constantly, and then to step back, like we do today. The same thing. Pirish Rashi explains, right, that when it says it's proper, he shouldn't have prayed if he doesn't do this. It would have been better if he didn't pray. Like we say sometimes, it's better that a person shouldn't have been born if he doesn't behave properly, right? Okay, so Eshtat, right, brings the verse here. We learned from this verse that you should be on the right. Alma Yamin Adifa. So you see from there, where this verse says Rashi that the right side is better than the left. So what does that mean? It comes first, right? By the way, why is the right side better than the left? Because the right represents kindness, chesed, and the left represents din, judgment, so chesed is better than judgment. That's the right side of Hashem. Why? Because a person who prays should see, that the Shekhinah is in front of him. That's, he should have that in mind, right? You should be fixated on that. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk Tehillim, Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, right? Where is this in Tet Zayin? that I always put Hashem in front of me, right? So meaning what? That I always think that the Shekhinah is in front of me, that the divine presence is in front of me. And all the more so when a person is praying, you should have that kind of feeling, Okay, good. So then he goes on. That which the Torah said, name Rabbi Ezri, Shen Lamro Shen Pirusho. You shouldn't say it. Shomar Shalom Bimino. It doesn't mean to say you should say actually, right, that Shalom with your rights, Bimini. Yeah, we should first do the tour on this. We didn't read this yet. So let's go back to the tour and read it over there. We'll come back to this afterwards. So it says in the Torah, so it says some have a custom, lomar shalom bismali, shalom bimini. They say there's going to be peace with my left and be peace with my right. Right? They say this kind of thing. So it says from that which we say, and it comes from Masechet Yoma. Mishum Rabbi Shmaya, name of this rabbi, Amu noten shalom bimino. He gives first shalom to his right and then to the left. Perush bimino bimina shel shechina. So it means that he gives to the right of the Shekhinah, Shehi Kenegdo, which is corresponding to him, Shehu Smola, which is his left. Katav Avi Ezri, says Rabbi Ezri, Shen Leomar She'en Perusho Sheomar Shalom Bimino. Doesn't mean that I'm sorry. He said you shouldn't say this. Why? Because it doesn't mean that there should be peace to my right. Rather, when he says, right, that he makes peace in the heavens, he tilts his head to the side, or the left side. And then when he says, and he goes to the right side, he tilts to the right side. In the place where the three steps are ending, you shouldn't stand there. You should stand there. You shouldn't go back right to his place. You got to pause a little bit there. As it says in Yoma, Mishmeh Derab Mordechai, name this rabbi, once he stepped back 3 steps, he should stand there, like wait. Mashal Talmid, so why? It resembles like the case of the disciple, Sheniftar Mirabah, who was leaving his rabbi, departing from his rabbi. So if he comes back right away, it's like a dog, comes back to his puke. So meaning what? It's not proper to do that, right? Obviously. Because the end proves the beginning. Because that means that he didn't step back to separate from his rabbi, right? To leave his rabbi. It goes back right away. That proves it. Katav Rav Alfa says the Rif. Katav Rav Alfa hatam. The Rif says that you should stand there until Shliach Tzibur starts the Amidah, the Chazara, the repetition. That's halacha, by the way. That when a person is praying with a minyan, he should step back and then wait for the Shliach Tzibur to start the repetition, right? And then he'll step up again when they do the Kedusha. That's how we do. So he says, V'kach patach Shliach Tzibur, V'kach patach Shliach Tzibur. When the Shliach Tzibur starts to say the Amidah, the repetition, Shesafo Achiam. One second, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, one more time. The Chad Patach Shliach Tzibur, once the Shliach Tzibur starts, right, the repetition, Hadar Ledukti goes back to his place. Right, and there is another opinion that says Hadar Shliach Tzibur Kedusha. Should wait till we get to the Kedusha, and then he steps back there and steps up again, right, in the front. Steps up. Okay, good. That's the end of the tour. So now we'll go to the Bet Yosef.
Kavod Harav, I'm sorry. So the halacha with the minyan is he steps back, right? Waits for the sibur, and then for the sibur's repetition, and then he steps forward for the kedusha.
Right, exactly. That's the way it's done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, that's only when there is kedusha, right? So because at night there's no kedusha, right? So then you don't need to do that.
And the minyan, no? In this case, with the kedusha.
Right. It's only for shachrit and mincha,
Shacharit and mincha. Thank you very much.
Arvi, that doesn't apply.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. So that's the story there. So let's go back to the Bet Yosef and see, continue from there. So says Bet Yosef, Mash Katav Rabbeinu. That was a two wrote name of the Abi Ezri. We just saw that now. She'en le'omro. You shouldn't say it, right? That piece that we just mentioned. She'en perusho she'amar shalom b'mini. It doesn't mean that you should say, right, there should be peace to my right. Ela kashomer oseh shalom b'mamav. It means to say like this. When you say oseh shalom b'mamav, hofech panim letzad smol, you turn to the left, right? That's what it means. So meaning what? It's telling you, right, don't take it the wrong way, because if you take it literally, that means you should have to say that actually, but that's not the case. Shalom b'mini, right? We don't say that. Okay, so anyway, right, it goes on. That's what it says on Mordechai. The Samak, Pesiman Yud Aleph, Samak also. Katav Oda Mordechai, says also the Mordechai. Right, so he says, now he says the custom is they bow in front of them, like a slave that, a servant that departs from his master. We do that too, by the way, right? We do all that stuff, right? We go left, we go right, and then, right, we also go in the middle. So, we're covering all that basically, right? More or less. Okay, so let's see Shulchan Aruch, how he brings it down there. It says Shulchan Aruch, Korea Posea Gimel Pesiot Dacharav, right? What you do is, once you finish the Amidah, you bow down, right? And you step back 3 steps. Kriya Echad, right? And you're like totally bowing all the way as you step back. And then after he steps back 3 steps, Yodo Korea, while he's still bowing, Kodem Shiskop, before he gets up. To say Shalom Yomamav, Hofech Panav Letzad. Right, first he goes to his left, right? Oseh Shalom Yomamav, Kushomar, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. When he says this, he goes to the right. Hofech Panav Letzad Yeminu. And then he bows straight ahead, right? Like a slave departs from his master. So exactly right, the way we describe it, that's the way it says here in Shulchan Aruch. Okay, so says the Rama here, right? So what does this mean? Afterwards, what we do is we say Yiratzon, right? Sheivane Bet HaMikdash. There's different kind of variations on that, right? But pretty much that's what we say. There are, some words that are different sidurim. So he says, why is that? Why do we do that? Because the prayers are in the place of the temple service. So we're asking to have the real mikdash in order that we should be able to do the service. Okay, that's Shulchan Aruch, the first one. Now we'll go to pets. Here it is. Okay, so it says, right, that regarding what we said, they shouldn't go back immediately back to its place, right? He's got to pause a little bit. Bet Yosef brings this down, right? Ken Katvu, Harif Yarosh, that's what it says in Harif Yarosh. The sub perek and omdin, over there in the perek, this is all from the tour. And then he says, Katab Rabbeinu Agadol Mari Avav. So he says, this rabbi wrote, the Gamzet Tamamin HaManhig. So that's also the reason of the Manhig. She'omer she'me'achar she'zep she'ipasa. He says that after, right, he steps, steps those steps back, the chazer, and then goes back to his place. It seems like what he's going backwards. It wasn't because he finished his prayers. And he's right leaving his master. So therefore, it turns out, right, that this movement that he did was, mistaken. So therefore, it looks like a dog that returns to his puke. Why? Because the one, excuse my candor over here, right? When the dog actually pukes it up, right? He's puking it up into a place where there's no benefit. Then he goes back and eats it. Then it seems like it's not so. In other words, he looks ridiculous, right? First, he wants to get rid of it out of his body, and then he goes and eats it again. So, meaning what? The same thing when a person, leaves the master, and then, all of a sudden, like jumps right back there. It's like, make up your mind. Like, are you leaving or are you staying? What are you doing, right? What's on your agenda here? Okay. Well, interesting. Like the hyperbole there. Anyway, right, Rashba says, it says, you asked regarding a chazan that prayed for himself. Question is, can he, right, so he's praying by himself, meaning what? There's no minyan, right? So the question is, if there's no minyan, can he return to his place right away? So meaning what? That I'm sorry, I didn't say it right. Let's say it one more time here. I misunderstood what he's saying here. So it says Rashba one more time, right? In Tshuva, you asked the question. Right? If you have a chazan, he first prayed, the silent prayer, right? He's the chazan of the minyan. There is a minyan. And he prayed the silent prayer. So the question is like this. If he wants to now go back, right, really quickly and not pause, like we said he should, can he do that? Why? Because he wants to now do another repetition, right, for the community. To fulfill the obligation of the community. If you should tell me that Amar Lach, because he says one disciple told you, Mishbi in my name, that you're allowed to do that. You said, wow, I know. I'm wondering, how did he allow that? So he says, you attributed the mistake to the disciple, meaning what? Right? The rabbis don't make mistakes, only the disciples do. So you attributed it to him, not to me, right? Whatever. So, okay, so anyway, right? Mishama Talmid, Mashama Talmid. So he says, let me tell you what that Talmid said, right? That disciple, and Boshum Shegaga. He says, there's no mistake there. He didn't make any mistake. If the Shliach Tzibur really wants to do that, go back right away, that would be allowed, he says. That's what he's saying. So I never saw any big rabbi who objected to this, So, he seems to be saying it's fine, right? Okay, good. So then, right, goes on. It says, even though all the chazanim, they all do it. It says, on the contrary, it seems like it's proper to do so. Meaning what? Do it right away. Get started. Why make the people wait? You're wasting their time. So it says, I heard from the Ashkenazim, the big rabbis there, that's what they do. They start right away. They don't pause. So it says what they do is they wait a little bit, right? Right? How much they wait? Like 2 seconds, the time that it takes to walk 4 amot, which is about 6 feet, right? Whatever. Second and a half, I don't know, whatever. So that's what the Rashba seems to say. The Rashba seems to have no problem to do that. You know what I mean? To do it right away. Even though the Rambam wrote over there that after he steps back, that he starts to play in a loud voice to the Shliach Tzibur. So implies from that language that you should pause, right? Because it says v'yamod. So the Rambam is saying here, right? But yamod means that he should pause. So it implies that he should pause. But it says it says Maran Bet Yosef, even though the Rambam says so that you should pause, but he says the custom is like the Rashba, right? So therefore, tough luck, right? We go like the Rashba. Okay, interesting. Yeah, this is kind of rare, you don't really see this much in the Bet Yosef, that he paskins like the Rashba against the Rambam. It's kind of not so common. Okay, usually the Rambam gets the nod with these things, But okay, here, right? Because custom is like that, so we don't go like the Rambam. So anyway, right? Katav Rav Alfas. It says the Rav Alfas, which is the Rif. Right, the tour brings this down. What did he say? He said that he should stand there right until the Shliach Tzibur starts, as we said, right? If he's an individual, and he's praying with the minyan, so he should stand there until the Shliach Tzibur starts. So regarding that, says Bet Yosef, he brings a source for that. Besopek Enomdim, right over there in Brachot. Also the Rosh writes this, Rambam also, Katav, Keman de Amar Ad Mata Shliach Tzibur LeKedusha. So the Rambam paskins that until he gets to the Kedusha, right? That's when you step up. Right? Because we saw also another opinion, right? Which is that, you can step up also when he starts the repetition. But the Rambam seems to say, wait till the Kedusha, right? Okay, good. The Katav Rabbeinu David Avraham. This rabbi writes, B'Shem Aravad, named Aravad, Keshu mitpalel yachid, when he prays as an individual, mamtin kadesh shiur zeh. You gotta wait till this time. Aval Rabbeinu Yerucham, but says Rabbi Yerucham, Katav nir'eh ki b'yachid klomar keshu mitpalel yachid. What does it mean? He's praying individually. That means he's individual. He doesn't go back right away. You should wait a little bit, right? Pause a little bit. So it seems also from there in the Gemara, he should wait from one prayer to another. If he's doing 2 prayers in a row, he should wait. He should, get back his concentration a little bit. He can get some concentration. On Farash Yerushalmi, it says in Yerushalmi, explains, how much does that take, right? The amount that you walk 4 amot, right? So as we said, which is like a, second and a half, whatever. Not really a lot of time. So you got to pause at least that much time, even if you're praying as an individual. That's what he's saying. Okay, very good. So let's go on. So it says, Katuv b'shibol leleket, right? It says in shibol leleket, b'shem ha'geonim, the name of the geonim, b'nei adam ha'mesayimim tfilatam kodem hatzibur. What about these guys, right, who are the early birds, right? They pray faster a little bit. So they always finish before everybody, right? They're always done. They're waiting, Oh, getting bored over there, waiting. So look what he says, right? If you did finish early, you're one of those early birds. So what you don't want to do is, start like looking back, at the people who are praying. You're not allowed to gaze at them, right? I think we mentioned this concept before one time, possibly. You shouldn't look back there until the Chazan finishes his prayers, right? What's the reason, by the way? You're not allowed to look at people when they're praying like that. So they say the Shekhinah is on them, the divine presence. So you're not allowed to gaze at the Shekhinah. That's the reason why. So therefore, if you see a person, who's praying Amidah, don't start staring at him, like some kind of a, some kind of an item, some kind of attraction. Let him have his, prayer time. Don't start looking at him. Shouldn't do that, right? That's the idea. Just reminded me, by the way, there's also another halakha which resembles this, but for a different reason. A lot of people don't know this halakha, by the way. It's not very well known, this halakha. It's like more derech eretz, like proper conduct, whatever. So it says that when a person is eating, okay, you shouldn't look at him, when he eats, stare at him, like. You know what I mean? Or look at his food also. What's the reason why? It's not because there's Shekhinah when he's eating. That's not the reason why.
It's the evil eye. No, I'm just kidding.
Evil eye. Oh, you're making me laugh. Okay, so no, it's not really evil eye. You know what it is? It's just not proper derech eretz. Not proper, right? Proper manners. Because you're embarrassing him, like the guy's eating, like let him eat in peace, What are you staring at him for? Or staring at his food, let me see how he eats, how he chews his food. Leave the guy alone for a second, let him eat in peace, like what's it's not because of Shekhinah, but just because of proper manners, proper conduct. So that's the reason. Okay. So, a lot of people don't know this, they like to stare at people eat, like they just like look at them, I don't know what it is. I don't know what attracts them to that. I remember one time, I was when I was living in Queens before I went to Israel, there was a kosher restaurant they opened, in this area. So I went there, and I would just go eat there by myself, like it was before I was married, I was just go eat there sometimes, have like some dinner or whatever. And the owner, like it was somebody that I knew their family a little bit, whatever. So the wife was like the one who was really running the restaurant. And the husband would come in once in a while, to check up on him, whatever. So one time he comes to me, the husband, he tells me, he says, the way you eat over here, he says, Rabbi Danielov, he says, we should have you here all the time because it looks so appetizing the way you eat. People are just going to come in and to see you eat there. But the truth is, as I said, people shouldn't be really staring at somebody when they eat. It's not proper to do that. Okay, whatever. You get the point. Yeah.
In Venezuela, there's a saying that says that you get to know people while they're eating.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's manners, proper manners. Yes.
But I don't know if that's just like a Latin thing, or is it just a general?
Yeah, I mean, when a person eats in a very, nice way, and he lets other people eat, in a nice way, that shows that he has proper manners. He's, he has.
Rabbi.
So that's what the men said to you. I'm sorry. That's what the men meant when it said to you.
Yeah, whatever. But I was making a joke out of it.
I find women very sexy when they eat. Is there something wrong with that?
Oh wait, no, we don't talk those things when we're learning Torah. This is not Torah.
Oh,
This is not.
well, I didn't mean it
You're
in a
bringing us
sexual way.
into some other place there, David.
No, that's not what I find it.
We're
I
studying
admire.
Torah. This is not a sex education over here.
I think you took it the wrong way. Never mind.
Okay, never mind. We'll erase that from the record. Okay, so okay, so anyway, right? I understand what you mean, but anyway, that's not our topic. Okay, so anyway, right? The point is that right, so a person should be careful, not to stare at people, when they're doing stuff like this, gives people their privacy, give them their, their space a little bit. Don't crowd them so much, All right, that's good. So let's see Shulchan Aruch and we're done. I guess we'll finish there. Okay, so it says in Shulchan Aruch, b'makom shekalu gimel pasiyot, right? That yamod, right? So what happens like this? Once you step back 3 steps, you got to pause, right? Just like stand there for a little while. So as we said, right, if you were playing with a minyan, what you do is wait till the chazan gets to kedusha and then step back. But he says at least, right, you should wait until he starts to pray at all. Repetition, the call around, right, in the loud voice. So says the Ramah regarding this. So he says, right, the shliach tzibur should stand. As we said, right, for him the halacha is different because he's got a job to do now. He's got to do the repetition. You know what I mean? So he should wait how long? Right, the time that it takes to walk 4 amot, which we said is like a second and a half. Right, and he can just jump right back up and start already. The repetition. He doesn't have to wait. There's nothing for him to wait for. Before he starts to pray, right, in a loud voice. So says Ramah also, right, individual who's not praying with a minyan, same thing applies to him as well, right? Like the chazan. He should wait in a second and a half, and then he can step back up. So, okay, so now, right, says Ramah something else. And if you have an individual who's praying with the community, right, praying with the minyan, he finished before, right, the shliach tzibur. He brings this from Bet Yosef. We already saw this there. So don't start now looking back, right, and looking at the people who are praying, You can't do that. So what should you do? Wait till, the chazan starts the repetition. And then, right, you can, you have more freedom to move around. But until he starts, you really shouldn't be, turning around, this way, that way. What are you looking for? What's the just stand there in your place and wait. There was one rabbi, I had, he used to tell me, some people have ants in their pants, like once they finish something, they have to move around or something, like they can't stand still. So there are people like this, they have some issues, with their anxiety, whatever. I don't know, God knows what it is. But the person, should always try to train himself, sometimes you gotta sit still, and not move around. There are times where, you're just supposed to sit there and wait for something, and you gotta have patience, what I mean? That's the way it is. Okay, very good. So I guess we'll stop there. Chazak Baruch, be blessed with wealth, health, happiness. V'ezrat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us a victory over the enemies. And V'ezrat Hashem, it'll bring us closer to Mashiach. Every one of these things, we'll get closer. V'ezrat Hashem. Once all the enemies are defeated, and right, we'll uproot them, and Kadosh Baruch Hu will bring us the real Geulah, the Geulah Shlema, the real redemption. V'ezrat Hashem. B'mhera v'amenu, speedily in our times.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you,
Chazak
Kabbalah.
Baruch.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Laila Tov.
Laila.